Mother Teresa, it's 25 years now since your congregation, the Missionaries of Charity, were officially established, but the work started much earlier, didn't it?
Actually, it started in 1948, 21st of December, when first time I went to the slums.
You were in the Loreto and Italy then, weren't you?
No, at that time, in 48, I had already left. But, in Italy, I had been for about 20 years as a Loreto nun working with the Bengali girls.
What made you leave the shelter of the Loreto house, Mother?
That is a gift of God, a vocation in the vocation. I already belonged to Christ. And then his call came that to give all and to be one of the poor amongst the poor.
Mother, you are one of the very special people to whom God has given a call. Did it happen just in a flash, on an instant, or did you know it was coming?
It's just a call in the call.
A call within a call?
Within a call.
And that was to go out of Loreto and serve the poorest of the poor?
To bring God's love and compassion amongst the people who were unwanted, unloved, uncared, who have no one.
You had seen these people, Mother, I believe, from the convent. You had watched them in, I think there's a large basti just next to the convent, a Moti Jil.
Yes.
Is that where you saw them first, Mother?
I've seen them very often, many places. But I don't think it was a connection with that. I think it was just a gift of God to me.
So you went out, Mother?
Must have been the prayers of many people who have been praying that somebody would come and consecrate their lives to the service of the poorest of the poor.
So you went out, Mother, fortified with your own tremendous faith, but what else, Mother? What else did you take out with you?
But having Him with me, having God with me, I have all things. I don't need anything else.
And I believe you realized very early that you had to have some medical training, so you went to Patna.
That's right.
And then you came back and stayed with...
Little Sister of the Poor.
With the
for
Sisters
a little
of the Poor.
while.
And then with the Bengali Christian family.
That's right, in Creekland. And then the sisters started coming.
Now how did they start coming, Mother?
Well, these are most the girls that I had been teaching in Loreto, so when they found what I was trying, that was the wonderful trust of those girls, because there was absolutely nothing, blind trust and blind faith that they came in. And one by one they came, there were 12 in 1950.
12 came to you first?
Yes, one by one they all came.
But how were you living, Mother? How did you eat and how did you... God provided, surely, but how did He provide?
People came continually and they saw that we had nothing. And then that was a divine providence, because we took God at His word. He had said that Christ in His preaching, He spoke very beautiful things, and He said that we are more important to Him than the flowers and the birds, and so we took Him at His word. And we were more important, and He never let us down. And up to today, we always take Him at His word, and we take care of thousands and thousands and thousands. And up to today, we have never had to send anybody away. We have never had to say to people, I don't have.
You never said no?
I can't give. I've never said no.
But Mother, when you started as a teacher. I think your first project was teaching in a basti school. In Motijil.
Yes.
What was that? Just a little...
We arranged a little room there and we started working there. And then little children, now they came and we had a little school there. And it grew. Now we have many children.
I believe you got over 500 in the same school.
Yes.
And then, Mother, you also started observing poor people on the streets, people dying right there on the pavement.
Yes.
I believe it was a woman who you found outside a hospital that made you believe that you should have a home for dying destitutes. Could you tell us something about that, Mother?
There was a woman there. I didn't think that it looked that it was a human being, but in coming close to her, I found that she was eaten up by rats and covered with maggots and so on. And I took her to the hospital. And at the beginning they refused to do anything. And I said that I would not move from there until they did something for her. And somebody answered and said, people like that should be given an injection and disappear. But I insisted that not to give the injection, but to give love and care. And they took her in and they took care of her very, very well. They took care of her. And from there I went to the Mr. Ahmed, may he rest in peace. He used to be the health officer of the Calcutta Corporation. And I asked him, I said, give me just one room. I need nothing else from you, where I can bring these people. And then he took me to this near Kali temple, to the Dharmashala, and said, this is an empty place. If you want it, you can have it. And that's how we have Nirmal Hriday. Within 24 hours we took it.
You took this large place.
Yes.
And I believe it was, you surprised everybody by saying you would open it within 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
And you did.
Yes.
Who was your first patient, Mother?
Some Mr. Chakrabarti, I think. He was the
He
picked up first.
And it's never, the doors have never closed since.
Never.
You've had thousands of
Since
people.
then we have picked up 32,000 people.
In Nirmal Hriday or
Nirmal
all
Hriday.
around?
No, only Nirmal
In Nirmal
Hriday, in
Hriday.
Calcutta alone.
Mother, it's been very erroneously said sometimes that you only administer to Christians, but this is quite wrong, isn't it?
Well, the best is that these people question the Hindu Shotkar Shomite. And they will be able to tell how many people they have picked up, because I'm very strict that our dying people and our dead people have the ceremony according to their religion. So Hindu Shotkar Shomiti comes and takes the Hindus, Anjuman comes and takes the Muslims, Buddhists come and take their own, Christians come and take their own. There's been absolutely no difficulty, no doubt about that.
I'm sure not, Mother.
So,
Mother, what do you do for these dying destitutes who have nothing?
we give them love and care, tender love and care. And then we give them what they would give in a hospital if they were rich and they were paying. We try to give to them what people get with money. We give them for the love of God.
Mother, something I've noticed in Nirmal Hriday, there's a very wonderful aura of peace. The people there, there's no fear of death. There doesn't seem to be any horror. I expect when I go there to see something dirty, foul, instead of which I find it very beautiful. Is this, could you explain this, Mother, this something, this aura of beauty that hangs over these very desperately ill and dying people?
Well, for me, the greatest development of a human life is to die in peace with God. And so it doesn't matter who we are, but at that time we need the joy of knowing that we are already with God. And so that's where the peace and that content and that presence of God is there. And you don't know who is who. You don't know. Only we know from the book that somebody is a Hindu or Muslim or whatever. But otherwise, in the acceptance and in the life and in the peace these people spread, it's a wonderful living reality of God's presence there. As a Hindu gentleman who came there and he said, I had come here empty and without believing, but now when I saw those sisters, the way they were touching the patient, the way they were loving that patient, I realized that God is.
It's very beautiful, Mother.
Yeah.
When did you start Shishu Bhavan, Mother?
About, I think, 1965.
Was that also because you found children lying on the street and wanted to give them shelter?
For the same reason. Because we have their children, abandoned children, who are also unwanted, unloved. And as you know, our poor people will never destroy the child. They may leave the child in the dustbin, but they would never destroy the child. And so we get children like that. And also we are fighting abortion by adoption. So our Shishu Bhavan is very full of children because we want to save the life, and because life for us is the life of God. It's a gift of God. And so there are many families that want that life into their life and they don't have children. And so we are able to give that new life into their lives. And also we are able to give these unwanted children a father and a mother. So we are completing by just bringing the child into a home to be loved, and also giving a child to a family to love.
That means you are giving them out in adoption.
Yes.
To families in India and I believe also
in
abroad.
India and all over the world. Many are going out. So we are spreading peace around the world.
Yes, I remember once there was a charming little boy who you said, in a few days you're going to be a Frenchman. I think he was off to France,
Yes,
obviously.
that's right.
But you also do give your children in adoption here in India.
So many have gone. Many have gone. And just to show you how they love the children, one family had taken a child and they were very well to do. And then I heard that the child suddenly got sick and got completely crippled. Then I sent for them and I said, give me back the child and I will give you a healthy child. And the father said, take my life first, then take the child.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But all kinds of children come to you. Some of them are mentally retarded, I seem to remember, and others are very sick. So from Shishu Bhavan, those who aren't given to homes, they go to other establishments.
Yes. We have in Shishu Bhavan, actually we keep only the children that can be adopted. Then we have another place, Premdan, where we keep sick children. Then we have Nirmala Kennedy Center in Damdam near the airport, where we keep the mentally retarded children. So, and especially there in Damdam, these are children that very little can be done for them, except that continual care and love and service.
Love aplenty which you give the mother.
Yeah.
Talking of Premdan, this was a gift of a very large and beautiful building to your mother.
Yes, it was given by the ICI. They gave it as a gift to the people of Calcutta.
You very appropriately named it.
That's right.
Rather, what you do in Premdan?
Well, we have actually another Nirmal Hridoy, so to say. When our people get better in Nirmal Hridoy, we send them there. But that is also, it's very overcrowded just now because we are getting many people from Sialda station and from Howrah. Very sick people who have very little chance to live, I think. And then we have for the mental women, because in Antara we have it for men, and in Nirmala Kennedy we have for children, and this in Premdan we have it for women. We have a malnutrition, very big malnutrition center. Then we have this coconut production. The children of Sialda station, they pick up the coconut, and then we have about 330 families who get employment by making doormats and rope and things like that.
This is wonderful, Mother. So you are actually teaching these poor people to employ themselves,
yes,
to
we
gain
give
money.
them food for work.
I think you also have them making paper bags and doing embroidery and all sorts of wonderful things.
Yes.
At Premdan, they actually do the coir work.
Yes, and then also they are producing from empty bottles, they are making vases and things like that.
I remember not long ago, Mother, that the press heralded the fact that you were taking over the clearance of Conservancy. I think they meant that you were just picking up all the green
Only
coconuts.
Yeah. They pick them up. The children of Sialda station, we have a night shelter there, and then they have in the morning school, and in the afternoon they go and pick up coconuts. And then with
what do they get out of that, Mother? Do they make a fair amount of money?
But the children also get food for work, and then also they are being educated. We give them the books and everything, which they earn by picking up the coconuts.
And they're kept off the streets, and they're kept out of mischief. That's important.
There are about 400 children there now, that they would have been in the streets or in the platform.
When did you reach outside Calcutta, Mother? Your work soon spread to other parts of India.
In 1959, we went first to Ranchi and then to Delhi. And since then, we have gone out to Australia, to New Guinea, to Bangladesh, to Africa, to Middle East, Europe and America.
Now, this is the first time, I think, Mother, that Indian nuns or Indian missionaries are reaching across the seas to other countries, even to the affluent countries.
That's right.
You're in Rome, Mother?
We are in Rome, we are in London, we are in New York, in Caracas, and Melbourne.
What do you do there, Mother? What kind of work do you do with in these so-called affluent countries?
Well, in Melbourne we have a home for the homeless alcoholics, and also we work there amongst the Aboriginals. Then in New York we are in Harlem, and in London we have a home, 2 homes there for the homeless. In London also there are plenty of people in the street, and then same goes around everywhere. There may be in these places not much like material poverty like we have with our people here or in Africa, but spiritual poverty very often, being unwanted, unloved, having no one, sometimes is much deeper and much greater and more difficult to remove. Because when I pick up a person dying of hunger, with a plate of rice I can satisfy. But a person who is hurt, who has forgotten how to smile, who has forgotten what is a human love, what is human touch, very difficult to bring that new hope and new joy into that kind of life.
Mother, I find it very remarkable that Indian girls who are so sheltered here, brought up in such a sheltered way, can go out among alcoholics and prisoners. I believe you work in prisons abroad. How do you inculcate this extraordinary power, this faith that you have into these girls, Mother?
I think every Christian builds the faith. With us, our lives are woven with a life of prayer and sacrifice. And to be able to do this, because we believe what Christ has said, I was hungry and you fed me, I was naked and you clothed me, I was homeless and you took me in. And the whole work of the society is built on that. And that deepening of faith, that I am 24 hours touching him. That's why it makes no difference whether the person is a Hindu or Muslim or Christian. It is he. And therefore, that deepening of faith, we deepen it more and more because we begin our day with Mass and Holy Communion, where we get that power, that strength to do all things with him. And then throughout the day, we try not to just do the work, but to pray the work. And then in the evening, we have 1 full hour of that adoration and prayer. And so this is where we are not so much like just doing social work, paid social work or whatever it be. It is we are trying to live out that life of love, of compassion that God has for his people. And that's why our sisters, when they make their application to give their life to the service of the poor, is we want the life of poverty, prayer and sacrifice that will lead us to the service of the poor. And that's very beautiful in our young people. And that's the miracle of it, that when today in many places, many congregations are closing down because they don't have enough vocations. Our novitiate is bubbling with life. We have over 206 novices now. And all over the world, girls are joining. Just wanting to, because for us, poverty is necessary. To be able to understand the poor, we must know what is poverty. That's why we live a very, very poor life, to be able to know what it is, the living reality of being poor. And we take vows to love Christ with undivided love and chastity, and through that freedom of poverty, and in total surrender to obedience, and wholehearted free service to the poorest of the poor. So our lives are woven around Him totally, and so that's the miracle of God, that we have so many young girls from all over the world wanting to give all, to be able to bring that love, that peace, that compassion into the world.
Mother, do these girls who come to you, they come called as you must have been, with an inner faith and inner conviction?
They come with a conviction.
They come with that conviction.
That's right. They wouldn't be able to stand it otherwise.
They couldn't.
You cannot do for life, this kind of work.
But when you get them, Mother, do they come with any doubts at all? Or
no.
Do you find that sometimes there is something that is holding them back? Or do they come completely in faith and give themselves wholly to you?
They believe that they have been chosen, that they have been called. So when they come, then we have a time of probation before they bind themselves for life. They have full 9 years to choose each time. And then we see if they have health of mind and body, if they have ability to learn and to serve, and if they have a common sense and cheerful disposition. These are the signs that help a person in their attitude, in contact with the poor and with the service of the poor.
Cheerfulness seems to be a very important part of your congregation, Mother. I think I've never seen a happier lot of young women anywhere. They always seem to be running and laughing.
Yes.
Is this a very important ingredient?
Very important, because if we didn't have that joy, then we will be like slaves. And we choose to come here, and then we choose to keep on giving without reserve. It's a choice. And love, to be true, has to hurt. And so...
Mother, is there... You must have, when you started, had a certain amount of opposition. There's not much opposition now, I'm sure. Do you still find any opposition to your work?
I don't remember. The only opposition, if it is called opposition, was when the people didn't understand how Catholic sisters could be right in the middle of the temple of Kali. They didn't understand. But once, when I had explained to them what it meant, what it was, and when one of their priests got sick and we took care of him, and from that time, we are the closest possible friend that we could be.
Well, now, of course, you're everywhere. I think you've gone into every citadel that there is.
Yes.
But still not.
There, for example, also the same thing in Harlem. Our sisters are working there, and we have been nearly 4 years there. Up to today, the sisters have never met with rudeness, with unkindness. The people just love them. Where nobody else can go, there are these sisters working with the Shatins and working in the jails and so on.
You've got some sisters in the jail in Miami, I think, you told me.
Yeah, we went there. We have not yet sent a group there, but I visited the place there.
I seem to remember you told me that they were very appreciated because... what was that you said, Mother? That
they liked the dress very much. They were very much taken by the sari, and then they said they liked the modesty of our dress, the sign of purity and dedication. And then they said nowadays our nuns are dressing like women.
One wonders what the others must be dressing like, Mother. Mother, this morning before we came here, I found, as always, there were people waiting for you in your parlor. And I believe there was a gentleman who had come, someone you didn't know, but who knew you, obviously, who wanted to make you a gift.
Yes, he has, they have about 2 or 3 houses somewhere in Shambazar side. And the gentleman wants to give all these houses to be used in the service of the poor. So they want to make the will so that the whole thing could be willed to to the society to be able to be used for the poor. Wonderful thing. I don't know even who he is.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yes, and this has been continued lately. Many people are coming forward. There's a tremendous awakening in Calcutta. There are more and more people coming and offering gifts and giving things to be used for the people. It's a tremendous concern has been created. I don't know how it has come.
You told me that the young boy who was there today with his entire family was signing his first check.
That's right. First check, his first gift was brought this morning to me.
To you? And
yes.
all those were members of his family?
Family, and each one brought something. But his was the first one.
That's very wonderful,
yes.
Mother. That really is something beautiful.
Yes.
Now tell me, Mother, before we pass off this marvelous subject, these gifts that you get now are fairly easy, I should think. People now know about you all over the world, not only in India. When I think of how you alone walked into the city, who gave you gifts then? Who helped you at that time? I know there are some of the giants. I believe Dr. B.C. Roy himself was very helpful. And I think it was his niece, a lady who did help you at the time. Yes. You must have found a lot of people who have helped you along the way.
Many. And the help of Dr. B.C. Roy was one for that tremendous conviction that this kind of good work will live. And he couldn't understand why right from the very beginning, I didn't accept government grant.
Did you think this good work would go as far as it's gone, Mother? In 25 years, you've reached out from a single basti in Calcutta to the whole world.
But that is the proof that it is his work, God's work.
You never doubted?
I've never doubted.
Never for a moment?
And I would doubt maybe that if I'm alive or not, but I cannot doubt that the work is his work. Completely his. I'm just a little instrument, just as you are an instrument in your own capacity.
Along the way, Mother, you also started an order of brothers. They are part of your mission.
Yes, that's right.
When was that?
That was in March '63. Now they have about 12 houses now, all over the place also. And Brother Andrew, he's the head of the brothers. There are about 180 of them. They're doing wonderful work.
You found it necessary to have brothers?
To have the brothers, because we complete.
They do work that I suppose some of the...
there are
go to areas where some of the nuns can't go.
That's right. And also they do quite a lot in our homes for the dying, for the men. Because there are men need a special care by men. And these young brothers, they're just wonderful with them.
Mother, before we end, I'd like to ask you, particularly now, this is a very special year for you. What would be your message? What would you like people to do to help in this work? You have told me many times that there are people, not Christians, they're Hindus and Muslims and Buddhists and people perhaps of no faith at all, who want to do something, who really do want to help. How can we, the ordinary lay people, help you in this wonderful work that you're doing?
First of all, for these 25 years, I want the people to thank God for what He has done with us and through us. And then also I would like to thank the poor people for accepting us with so much love and so much trust. And then all those people who have shared in the work. There is much to be done, and I'm very anxious to involve the young people in this contact with the young, unwanted, unloved. There are many young boys especially who are just loitering around, being unwanted, uncared, just wanting a little bit of a touch, a little bit of care by somebody. And this is my appeal to the young people of our town, to do something for them.
Not only our town, Mother, your town now is the world, I think.
Yes. But I think let us begin with Calcutta. We always begin in Calcutta.
Begin with Calcutta. We're very proud, Mother, that you did start this wonderful work here in Calcutta. I'm sure that all of us who may not even have heard of you feel this quickening of a pulse as an understanding. I think it's your beautiful words, and I'd like you to say them again, that you have the pleasure now of seeing the poor recognized.
Yes.
You have been given many awards, Mother. I think to list them would be too long, there's so many. But you have been given the Padma Shri. I think you were the first non-Indian, although you are an Indian citizen now, Mother.
Yes.
When did you become an Indian citizen?
61, I think.
61. But you got the Padma Shri and the Jawaharlal Nehru Award and so many. But you have told me that you don't feel that this is an award to you.
No, they have the recognition that the poor are existing, that the poor are our brothers and sisters. They have to use somebody, so they are using me to make that contact. But I think it's the recognition that there are the people, that there are in the world people who need love, who need care, who have to be wanted, who have to be taken care of, the sick and the dying and the crippled. And that recognition, I think, is spreading peace.
So it's the poor being recognized after many, many years, I think, for the first time probably in centuries, that the poor are being recognized and are being given a place in the sun.
Yes, and that they are also, that they are the hope of salvation for mankind. Because what we have done to them, what we have been to them, will be at the end of life, that judgment will be passed.
Right.
And according to what we have done to them, will be for all eternity happy, or we'll have to face the reality if we neglect them.
Well, Mother, I think that all the prayers that are going to be said in all the churches, temples, mosques, wherever they are being said on the occasion of this 25 years anniversary of yours, I'm sure they all add up to saying thank you to you and to all your missionaries for the wonderful job you've done. Not only for Calcutta, but now for the world.
God has done great things. You have to praise His name.
Thank you, Mother.
God bless you.